My child, I need just 1 minute with you. Stop scrolling. Stop doubting. What you prayed for in tears is no longer far away. It is knocking at your door right now. I know you have heard hopeful words before and watched disappointment follow afterward. I know you became tired of believing something good was finally coming only to watch another door close in front of you. But listen to me carefully this time, because this moment is different. This is not another false alarm. This is not another emotional feeling that fades tomorrow. Heaven has been preparing this exact moment long before you realized it was near. Every delay, every closed door, every painful goodbye, every lonely night, every season where you felt forgotten was part of a greater alignment that your human eyes could not fully understand. While you were crying, I was arranging. While you were waiting, I was preparing. While you thought nothing was changing, I was moving people, opportunities, conversations, and timing into their appointed places for your life. My beloved child, I know how tired your heart has become from carrying disappointment. There were moments when you almost stopped expecting anything good because hope itself became painful. You prayed for change, but the waiting lasted longer than you imagined. You asked me for signs, but silence surrounded your life so heavily that you wondered if heaven still remembered your name. You kept trying to stay strong while secretly feeling emotionally exhausted. Some nights you stared into darkness wondering if your season would ever truly change. Some mornings you woke up carrying the same heaviness you went to sleep with. You smiled in front of people while silently fighting fear inside your thoughts. You tried to keep believing, but discouragement slowly drained the excitement from your spirit. And still, through every painful season, I remain beside you even when you could not feel me. I need you to understand something very important right now. The waiting was never proof that I abandoned you. The waiting was proof that timing mattered. There were pieces moving behind the scenes that you could not yet see. Certain people had to leave before the right people could arrive. Certain lessons had to strengthen your spirit before you entered your next season. Certain doors had to close because they would have led you away from your purpose instead of toward it. You called some seasons rejection, but heaven called them protection. You called some delays punishment, but I called them preparation. If I had opened certain doors too early, you would have walked into blessings emotionally unprepared to carry them. So I allowed the process to continue because your future mattered too deeply for me to rush what needed perfect timing. My child, there were moments when fear became louder than faith inside your mind. Fear told you nothing would ever change. Fear whispered that your dreams were too delayed to survive. Fear convinced you that maybe you were forgotten while others moved forward in life. The enemy watched your exhaustion carefully because he knew something powerful was attached to your future. He knew if you stayed close to me long enough, eventually the season would shift. That is why discouragement attacked your thoughts so heavily. Darkness wanted you to quit before your appointed moment arrived. It wanted you to walk away from hope one season too early. But look at you now, my beloved child. After everything you survive it, after every battle that tried to bury your spirit, you are still here listening to my voice. That alone is proof that my hand has never left your life. What you have been waiting years for is no longer distant. It is closer than you realize right now. I did not bring you this far to abandon you at the edge of breakthrough. I did not allow you to survive all those painful nights just to leave your story unfinished. The shift you prayed for is already beginning quietly around you. Even now, while you listen to my voice, doors are moving. Conversations are happening. Opportunities are aligning. Names are being spoken in rooms you have never entered. Favor is being released over situations you thought were permanently closed. What looked impossible yesterday is beginning to move because I declared that your appointed time would arrive. But listen carefully now, because this next season requires faith greater than fear. You cannot keep living as though disappointment still controls your future. You cannot keep expecting rejection every time a new opportunity appears. Fear has trained your heart to prepare for loss before joy even arrives. Fear taught you to expect abandonment before love fully enters your life. Fear taught you to protect yourself from disappointment by avoiding hope altogether. But I am calling you higher now, my child. This new season cannot be entered with old fear controlling your thoughts. I need you to trust me even when your emotions still feel uncertain. I need you to move with peace instead of panic. Because what I prepared for you cannot fully bloom inside a heart completely controlled by fear. Be still now. Stop trying to force every answer through human understanding. Stop overthinking every possibility until anxiety steals your peace again. I know your heart wants certainty before movement, but faith does not always receive full explanations before obedience. Sometimes faith simply takes my hand and keeps walking even while the future remains unseen. And I promise you this, I already stand in the future preparing the way before you arrive there. Nothing about your next season is catching heaven by surprise. I already aligned the timing. I already prepared the people. I already opened the right doors. I already removed obstacles you never even knew existed. You are not stepping into uncertainty alone. You are stepping into something I prepared long before you recognized it was near. Type Amen. My prayers are heard if you're expecting God's answer soon. My beloved child, I know previous disappointments made trusting difficult. There were moments when you thought breakthrough had finally arrived, only to watch things collapse unexpectedly. There were times you became hopeful and then watched another delay appear. Slowly, your heart became cautious about expecting anything good. You stopped celebrating possibilities because disappointment hurt too deeply afterward. But hear me clearly today. This is not another false alarm. The reason previous doors closed is because they were never meant to carry your destiny fully. Temporary opportunities could not replace permanent purpose. I allowed certain things to fail because they would have damaged the future I truly prepared for you. Sometimes closed doors are not rejection from heaven. Sometimes they are redirection towards something greater. I need you to stop measuring your future through the pain of your past. Your previous disappointments do not have authority over what I am doing now. Your past delays cannot stop the appointed time I already declared over your life. Heaven does not operate according to fear. Heaven operates according to purpose, and your purpose is still alive even after everything you endured. The dreams inside you are not dead. The calling over your life was not canceled by discouragement. The enemy tried to exhaust your spirit before this season arrived because he knew your life was approaching movement. But what I have declared over you cannot be permanently delayed by darkness. So breathe deeply now, my beloved child. Let your soul become still in my presence again. Stop running ahead of me in fear. Stop assuming every silence means rejection. Stop expecting disaster before blessings even arrive. I am still leading you. I am still protecting you. I am still opening doors that no person can permanently shut. The thing you prayed about with tears years ago is no longer far away. It is already moving toward you. Your appointed time is no longer approaching. He has arrived. And because I declared it, no force of darkness can stop what heaven has already set into motion. My beloved child, stop for one moment and listen to me carefully. I know your thoughts have been racing without rest. I know your heart has been carrying silent pressure for far too long. But I did not interrupt your day by accident. I called you here intentionally because your soul is standing at an important moment that you cannot afford to miss. This is not random timing. This is not coincidence. Before you even opened this message, heaven already knew this exact moment would happen. I arranged it because there are things your spirit desperately needs to hear before the next chapter of your life begins. My child, I need just 1 minute with you because the enemy has been trying to keep your mind distracted. He wanted noise around you constantly so you would never fully hear my voice again. He wanted fear to become louder than faith. He wanted discouragement to become stronger than hope. He wanted you so emotionally exhausted that when your appointed season finally arrived, you would be too tired to recognize it. But I refuse to let darkness steal this moment from you. That is why I am calling you to stop, breathe, and become still before me right now. I know how heavy life has felt lately. I know the waiting season stretched far longer than you expected. There were moments when your prayers felt trapped in silence. Moments when you looked around wondering why everyone else seemed to move forward, while your life felt delayed. You tried to remain faithful, but disappointment slowly drained the strength from your spirit. You became tired of hoping for change because every new disappointment made your heart more cautious. Some days you carried so much emotional exhaustion that even simple tasks felt difficult. And still, through every lonely season, I stayed beside you even when you could not feel my presence clearly. You asked me many questions during those nights of waiting. You asked why doors kept closing. You asked why people walked away unexpectedly. You asked why opportunities disappeared just when you thought life was finally changing. You asked why healing seemed slow. You asked why the answers you prayed for remained delayed while fear kept growing inside your thoughts. And because heaven remained quiet at times, you slowly began wondering if I had forgotten your name. But my beloved child, my silence never meant absence. My silence never meant abandonment. While you were waiting emotionally, I was working spiritually in ways your eyes could not yet understand. There were things happening behind closed doors that you knew nothing about. Conversations were shifting. Hearts were changing. Paths were being redirected. Certain people were being removed from your future because their presence would have damaged your destiny later. Certain opportunities had to disappear because they carried hidden pain behind temporary excitement. Certain delays became necessary because your spirit needed strengthening before carrying what I prepared for you. I know you interpreted some seasons as rejection, but heaven called them protection. You saw closed doors as disappointment, but I saw dangers you could not yet recognize. My child, timing matters deeply in the plans I prepare for your life. Humans often want immediate answers because waiting feels painful. But if I move it too quickly before your spirit was ready, blessings would become burdens instead of gifts. There were lessons your soul needed to learn in hidden seasons. You needed wisdom stronger than emotion. You needed endurance deeper than temporary excitement. You needed spiritual roots strong enough to survive the weight of future responsibilities. So I allowed the process to continue because I care more about your destiny than your comfort. Please support our channel. Our work is to bring happiness in your life and devotion to God. And if you want, you can donate to us, given link in description or pinned comment to show your support. The enemy watched your waiting season carefully because he knew something important was approaching your life. He saw doors beginning to align before you did. He sensed movement in the unseen realm before your natural eyes recognized it. That is why fear attacked your thoughts repeatedly. Darkness wanted discouragement to convince you that nothing would ever change. It wanted exhaustion to bury your faith before breakthrough finally arrived. It wanted hopelessness to become so strong that you would walk away from your blessing one moment too early. But my beloved child, I kept you alive through every storm because your appointed time was always going to arrive exactly when I declared it would. Do you understand how many unseen battles I protected you from already? There were things meant to destroy your peace completely, yet somehow you survived them. There were moments you should have collapsed emotionally, yet strength appeared from somewhere beyond yourself. That was not human endurance alone. That was my hand carrying you through seasons your soul could not survive by itself. Even when your prayers became weak, my love for you never weakened. Even when your faith trembled, my grip on your future remained secure. And now listen carefully because this next part matters deeply. The reason I interrupted your day today is because movement has already begun. What you prayed about in tears is no longer distant. The season you waited years to see is beginning quietly around you even now. You may not fully recognize all the signs yet because fear trained your heart to expect disappointment first. But heaven has already started aligning things behind the scenes. Doors are shifting. Opportunities are awakening. Favor is moving toward your life. The very things you thought were permanently delayed are beginning to breathe again. But my child, fear cannot guide you into this next season. Fear kept you surviving, but faith will lead you forward. I know previous disappointments taught your heart to stay guarded. You became cautious about trusting opportunities because too many things collapsed unexpectedly before. You stopped celebrating possibilities because losing them hurt too deeply afterward. But if you continue living entirely through fear, you will struggle to recognize the very doors I am opening now. That is why I am calling you into stillness today. Stillness allows your spirit to hear me clearly again instead of listening only to anxiety. Be still, my beloved child. Stop trying to predict every outcome before taking one step forward. Stop overthinking every possibility until peace disappears completely. Stop assuming every open door will end in disappointment. The future I prepared for you cannot be entered through constant fear. I need you to trust that I already stand ahead of you, preparing the path before your feet arrive there. Nothing about your next season is uncertain to heaven. I already arranged the timing carefully. I'd already prepared the people connected to your purpose. I've already closed the wrong doors and preserved the right ones. What looks sudden to you has been carefully orchestrated by me for far longer than you realize. And yes, my child, I know part of your heart still feels afraid to hope again. After carrying disappointment for so long, trusting becomes difficult. But I need you to remember something powerful now. Previous delays do not have authority over your future anymore. What failed before cannot stop what I declared now. The doors that closed earlier were not the final chapter of your life. They were simply part of the journey leading you here. And now the season is shifting. I am not asking you to move recklessly. I'm asking you to move faithfully. There is a difference. Fear rushes in panic or hides in hesitation. Faith listens carefully and walks with peace. Faith does not require full understanding before obedience. Faith trusts my voice even while details remain unseen. And that is the place where I am leading your spirit now. My beloved child, Do not miss this moment because of old fear. Do not let anxiety convince you to stay emotionally frozen while heaven is opening doors around you. The waiting season is not permanent anymore. The heaviness is beginning to break. What you have prayed for with tears, what you have carried in silence, what you almost gave up on completely is now moving toward you faster than you realize. I declared your appointed time before you ever saw evidence of it. And because I declared it, no force of darkness can permanently stop what heaven has already set into motion. My beloved child, I need you to understand something deeply today because your heart has carried this question for far too long. I heard every prayer you whispered during the waiting season. Every single one. Not one tear fell without my attention. Not one cry escaped heaven unnoticed. I know there were nights when you prayed with trembling faith because disappointment had already wounded your spirit so many times. I know there were moments when your voice became quiet because you were tired of asking for the same things over and over again. But even during those silent prayers, I listened closely to every word hidden inside your heart. You thought heaven became distant because answers did not arrive quickly. You thought silence meant I stopped caring. But my beloved child, silence is not the same as absence. Just because you could not see movement did not mean nothing was happening. While you waited emotionally, heaven was moving strategically. While you cried in private, I was arranging things beyond your understanding. While fear whispered that nothing would ever change, I was already preparing the next chapter of your life carefully and intentionally. I know how painful the waiting became for you. And first, you waited with excitement. You believed the answers would arrive quickly. You prayed with confidence and expected things to change soon. But as weeks became months and months became years, your hope slowly became tired. Every delay added weight to your spirit. Every disappointment made trusting more difficult. And eventually, your prayers began sounding different. They became quieter, more fragile, less confident. You started praying while secretly preparing yourself for disappointment at the same time. There were nights when you cried because you felt forgotten. Nights when loneliness wrapped itself around your heart so tightly that breathing felt emotionally heavy. You looked around and saw other people celebrating answered prayers while your own life still felt delayed. You wondered why certain doors opened easily for others while your path seemed filled with obstacles. You questioned yourself repeatedly. You questioned your worth. You questioned your purpose. Sometimes you even questioned whether your voice still reached heaven at all. But my child, I was listening even during the moments when your faith felt weak. I heard the prayers you whispered through tears. I heard the questions you were too afraid to ask aloud in front of others. I heard the exhaustion hidden beneath your brave words. I saw the emotional battle happening inside you while you smiled outwardly, pretending to be okay. Humans may only see faces, but I see hearts completely. I see the hidden pain behind forced smiles. I see the disappointment you bury beneath silence. I see the exhaustion that nobody else notices because you became skilled at hiding your struggles from people around you. My beloved child, there were moments when you believed your waiting season meant I was ignoring you. But if only you could fully see everything happening behind the scenes, your fear would lose its power immediately. Certain prayers required alignment far greater than what your human eyes could understand. Some answers involved people you had never even met yet. Some breakthroughs depended on doors opening in places you could not reach through human effort alone. Some blessings required protection from timing that would have harmed you if they arrived too early. That is why heaven moved carefully instead of quickly. You became frustrated because you only saw the delay. But I saw the entire picture. I saw the future attached to every decision. I saw the hidden dangers behind certain opportunities you begged for earlier. I saw how emotionally unprepared you still were during some seasons. I saw relationships that looked beautiful externally but carried hidden destruction internally. I saw people smiling at you while secretly carrying motives that would have wounded your spirit deeply later. And because I love you too much to hand you temporary comfort that would eventually destroy your peace, I allowed the waiting to continue longer than you understood. Type Amen. My prayers are moving heaven if you believe answers are on their way. My child, waiting seasons are painful because humans naturally want movement they can immediately see. But many of my greatest works begin invisibly first. Seeds buried beneath soil appear lifeless before growth becomes visible above the ground. Yet beneath the surface, roots are quietly forming. Strength is developing unseen. Preparation is happening silently before visible fruit finally appears. And that is exactly what happened in your life. While you thought nothing was changing, roots were growing inside your spirit. Wisdom was developing. Discernment was increasing. Endurance was strengthening. You were becoming someone capable of carrying the blessing without allowing the blessing to destroy you. I know there were moments when discouragement almost convinced you to stop praying completely. Some days your heart became so tired that words no longer came easily. You repeated simple prayers because emotional exhaustion stole your energy. Sometimes all you could do was sit quietly hoping I still understood the ache inside your chest without explanations. And my beloved child, I did understand. I'd always understood. Heaven hears more than spoken words. I hear every emotion hidden beneath your silence. Do you remember the nights when fear told you nothing would ever change? Fear whispered that your dreams were too delayed to survive. Fear convinced you that maybe you were simply destined to remain stuck forever. The enemy attacked your mind repeatedly because he knew something important was approaching your life. He wanted hopelessness to grow stronger than your faith before breakthrough finally arrived. He wanted discouragement to silence your prayers because prayers connected your spirit to my presence. And darkness always fears hearts that continue reaching toward me even while hurting deeply. But look at you now, my beloved child. After every painful season, every delayed answer, every lonely night, every hidden tear, you are still here listening to my voice. You survived moments that should have completely broken your spirit. You endured seasons that emotionally exhausted you beyond words. And somehow, even through weakness, your soul continued searching for me. That was never accidental. My hand remained over your life every single day, even when you doubted it yourself. I need you to stop believing the lie that your waiting season was wasted. Nothing you endured was meaningless. Every prayer shaped something inside your spirit. Every delay strengthened your endurance. Every lonely season deepened your dependence on me. Every tear watered the ground where future blessings will grow. Heaven wastes nothing, my child. Not your pain. Not your prayers. Not your waiting. Even the seasons you wanted to escape became part of the preparation leading you into your appointed time. And now, after all those years of waiting, I need you to hear me clearly. Your prayers are no longer sitting untouched in silence. Movement has already begun. The things you cried about privately are beginning to shift. The doors you thought would never open are preparing to move. The answers delayed for years are closer now than they have ever been before. This is why I interrupted your day today. I needed your spirit to wake up again before fear convinced you to stop believing completely. Do not allow previous disappointment to make you miss what heaven is doing now. I know your heart became cautious. I know hope feels risky after carrying so much pain. But this season is different, my beloved child. The waiting is no longer empty. The silence is no longer still. The movement has already started. So come closer to me again. Pray again. Trust again. Hope again. Not because circumstances immediately look perfect, but because I am speaking directly into your spirit now. And when I speak, things begin shifting whether human eyes see it immediately or not. I heard every prayer during your waiting season. I carried every tear. I stayed beside you through every lonely night. And now the season you thought would never end is finally beginning to change. My beloved child, I know there were countless moments when you asked me the same painful question over and over again. Why is this taking so long? You asked it during sleepless nights when your thoughts became too heavy. You asked it after another disappointment arrived just when your heart was trying to hope again. You asked it when opportunities disappeared unexpectedly, when doors closed without explanation, when prayers remained unanswered longer than you believed possible. Deep inside yourself, you wondered if perhaps you had done something wrong, if maybe heaven had forgotten you, or if your life would remain trapped in delay forever. But today I need you to hear me clearly with an open heart, because the waiting was never punishment. The waiting with preparation. You only saw the silence, my child, but I saw the entire future attached to your life. Humans naturally focus on the present moment because pain feels immediate, but I see what tomorrow requires from your spirit. I knew where I was leading you long before you understood it yourself. And because I love you deeply, I refuse to release certain blessings before the right time arrived. I know you thought immediate answers would have made you happy, but there were seasons when what you wanted quickly would have damaged you later. Some doors looked beautiful from a distance, but behind them carried heartbreak your spirit was not meant to endure. Some people appeared trustworthy, but their presence would have slowly drained your peace and distracted you from your purpose. Some opportunities seemed perfect emotionally, yet they were not aligned with the future I prepared for you. My child, timing matters more than you realize. A blessing released too early can become a burden instead of a gift. You asked me to open doors during seasons when your heart was still emotionally exhausted from old wounds. You asked me to move quickly while fear still controlled many of your decisions. You prayed for expansion while your spirit still needed healing in hidden places. And because I saw what you could not yet see, I allowed the process to continue longer than your emotions wanted. You interpreted delay as rejection, but heaven called it mercy. I know waiting hurt you deeply. I know there were days when you felt stuck while others around you seemed to move ahead effortlessly. You watched people celebrate answered prayers while your own prayers remained suspended in silence. Sometimes jealousy tried entering your heart because you could not understand why things appeared easier for others. You smiled outwardly while inwardly wondering when your turn would finally arrive. And slowly, discouragement began whispering lies into your thoughts. It told you that maybe your season would never change. It told you that perhaps your dreams had expired during the waiting. But my beloved child, what I promise does not expire because time passes. What I declare over your life remains alive even during silent seasons. The enemy wanted you to misunderstand the waiting completely. He wanted you to believe delay meant defeat. He wanted you emotionally exhausted enough to stop expecting movement entirely. Because if he could convince you to abandon hope before your appointed season arrived, he believed he could keep you trapped in discouragement permanently. That is why your thoughts became battlegrounds during the waiting season. Fear attacked your mind repeatedly. Anxiety whispered that you were falling behind in life. Comparison made you question your worth. Loneliness tried convincing you that nobody truly understood your pain. Darkness studied every weakness carefully because it feared the future attached to your life. But my child, what the enemy called delay, I call development. There were things comfort could never teach your spirit. Waiting taught you endurance. Silence taught you deeper trust. Loneliness taught you how to depend on my presence instead of human approval. Closed doors taught you discernment. Disappointment taught you wisdom. Every painful season shaped your spirit in ways immediate success never could. I know you would never have chosen those lessons willingly, but heaven wastes nothing. Even the seasons that broke your heart became part of the process preparing you for your appointed time. You became stronger in hidden places during the waiting. Not louder, not more visible, but deeper. Your spirit learned how to survive storms without immediately collapsing. Your heart learned how to keep loving even after betrayal wounded you. Your faith learned how to breathe even while surrounded by uncertainty. You stopped depending entirely on feelings because feelings changed too quickly during painful seasons. Slowly, even without realizing it, your roots grew deeper beneath the surface. Think about a tree, my beloved child. The strongest trees are not created during easy weather. Their roots become deep because storms force them to grow stronger beneath the surface. And many times during your waiting season, while you focused only on what was not happening above the ground, heaven was strengthening your roots below the surface. Your character was developing. Your discernment was sharpening. Your emotional maturity was increasing. You were becoming someone capable of carrying future blessings without allowing those blessings to destroy your peace or separate you from me. There were also people connected to your future who were not yet ready themselves. You prayed for relationships, opportunities, and open doors, but many times other hearts still needed preparation too. Certain conversations had not happened yet. Certain decisions had not been made yet. Certain paths had not crossed yet. Heaven moves through timing far greater than human understanding. Sometimes what appears delayed is actually thousands of unseen details aligning perfectly behind the scenes. My beloved child, there were moments during the waiting season when you almost gave up completely. The pain became heavy. The silence became exhausting. You became tired of hoping for things you could not yet see. And I watched your heart carefully during those moments. I saw the tears you cried privately. I saw how hard you fought against discouragement even when your strength felt weak. I saw you trying to remain faithful while secretly wondering how much longer you could continue enduring uncertainty. And still, despite everything, you continued searching for me. Even wounded, your soul kept reaching toward heaven. Even exhausted, your spirit still whispered prayers that mattered deeply to me. I need you to understand this clearly now. The waiting season did not disqualify you. It refined you. You are not behind in life because your journey looks different from others. Your process required careful preparation because your future carries purpose greater than you currently realize. Some people move quickly into seasons they are emotionally unprepared to sustain. But I cared too deeply about your future to rush what required wisdom, healing, and spiritual maturity first. And now, after everything you endured, the season is beginning to shift. The waiting was never permanent. The silence was never endless. What you could not see during those painful years was heaven quietly building foundations beneath your life strong enough to carry what is coming next. And doors opening now are different because you are different. Your heart has changed. Your spirit has grown. Your dependence on me has deepened. You are no longer the same person who first entered the waiting season years ago. So stop condemning the process, my beloved child. Stop believing those painful years were meaningless. Every tear mattered. Every prayer mattered. Every lonely night mattered. Heaven used all of it to shape your spirit for this next chapter. And one day very soon, when you fully see what I was protecting you from and preparing you for, you will realize the waiting was not evidence of my absence. It was evidence of my careful love guiding every detail of your future. Comment Amen. Your love has never failed me if you're living proof of His faithfulness. And share this video.